Unshelling Medicine Podcast. Healthcare in the language we understand.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode. So today I have the pleasure of speaking with Olivier Mankondo. Olivier is a weight loss and wellness coach. Don't we need them? So, Olivier, can you tell everybody about yourself and about this conversation we're about to have?
Yes, first of all, I would like to say thank you very much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. Yes, so like you said, my name is Olivier Mankondo. I'm a speaker, author, weight loss and wellness coach. And I've been able to transform my life dramatically by adopting a plant-based nutrition. And because of that, I wanted to share my story. I wanted to show people that it's possible to live a disease-free life. And that's basically what I'm doing through my book, my talks and stuff like that. So in a nutshell, that's what I'm doing.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think that is very inspiring that you were able to change your life. And I'm looking to learn a lot from you and I know people are listening to learn a lot from you as well. So at what point did you think to yourself, or was it necessary for you to change your life in a way of adopting a plant-based diet? What was the reason?
Yeah, so to answer that question, I will have to go back in time. Basically, I was born in Africa. And when I was young, at the time when I was born, there was no computer games, there was no video games and stuff like that. So we were forced to play outside. And we were running around, climbing trees and playing football and all these things. So all the time we were in movement. And because of that, when I was growing up, I was also not exposed too much to animal product, dairy product, processed food. And I was very lean. So that was, I grew up that way. And when I left my country, I went to South Africa and came to the UK. And that's when my problem started, because I was exposed to lots of meat, lots of fish, lots of chicken, lots of dairy product and processed food. And I was starting to eat a lot. And because of that, my weight starting to go up. And at my heaviest, I reached 220 pounds. And because of that, I was not really, it was not really a problem for me to be that weight, because in Africa, when you are big, basically it means status. So I was not phased out by that, but it's only the problem that it was causing me. For example, I was suffering from high blood pressure. And people should know that 50% of heart attack and strokes are created by high blood pressure, which is very dangerous. And I even remembered there was a time when I was admitted to the hospital because of my high blood pressure. I spent a day and a half over there, and I had massive headaches every day or every other day. And in fact, I had to have some painkillers in my wallet all the time because of that. And I had dandruff, chest pain, back pain, abscesses, joint pain, and a lot of dental problems. And I was suffering from heartburn as well, and especially when I was eating beans. And I was always tired, always tired. And for example, on the day when I had to go to work, I would drag myself out of bed. And on the day when I was off, I would sleep until 1 p.m. because I was always tired. And what happened is that there was a day I went to the doctor and basically told me that I will be on medication for the rest of my life. But when he offered me the medication, I said, no, I don't want to take the medication for the rest of my life, even though I didn't know what I know now, but I said no. And I started just to buy the medication of all of over-the-counter medication and stuff like that. And I was watching an Indian yogi that I've been following for a long time. And one day I was watching a program, and he suggested that by stopping eating animal product, it was possible to reverse 70% of the chronic diseases. And because my health was pretty bad, I said, okay, I'm not losing anything. I'll do that. So it was a Wednesday that I watched the program. On Thursday, I went to work. I came back and I had my wife cooked me my last meal of meat. And on Friday, I went cold turkey. And the following week, basically, my symptoms got worse. And people need to understand that's how the body detoxifies itself. It's called the detox
Okay.
symptoms. So I had more cold sore, my joint starting to ache even more. I had massive headaches that I've never had in my entire life. And my wife even asked me to stop, but I said, no, I'm going to continue. And then after a week, it just disappeared. And 4 months into my life changed. I went back to my doctor who told me that I will be on medication for the rest of my life, and my blood pressure was completely gone. All the diseases that I've had, all the chronic diseases that I've had are completely gone. And after 9 months, I was able to lose 77 pounds. And for the past 8 years, I've not been sick a single day. And for the past 9 years, I've not taken a single pill. And what I've been able to reap as well is that I've been able to reverse my aging process, because a lot of people, when they see me, they think that I am in my late 20s, but I'm actually 54. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. Wow. That is commendable. First of all, kudos to you. Kudos for, doing what you do, and reversing chronic diseases is not easy, right? And, just for the fact that you can say that for the last 8 years, you haven't been ill a day. It's very commendable. And kudos to you for doing that. My thing is the commitment to do it, right? Doing it cold turkey is difficult, right? So, what are the benefits of doing it cold turkey as opposed to easing yourself into it? Because we're talking about lifestyle change. We're talking about changing everything that you've known for a while. Because I can't say everything you've ever known, because as a child, you stated you grew up, eating lean and being very active, right? So basically, your weight gain and the current lifestyle was very environmental in nature, right? Because of migration, right? So, or immigration, I should say. What made you go cold turkey as opposed to easing yourself into it? And would you recommend one over the other?
Basically, if I went cold turkey, it's because I did really trust that Indian yogi. And for me, in my mind, it didn't cross me to go step by step. So I just went all in. But that's not what I advise to people to do. I don't advise anybody to do it, because for me, if I was able to pass through the detox symptoms, it's because I was really committed. And a lot of people don't have that commitment. And usually when people go through all these detox symptoms, they will just stop. They will say, okay, it's not working. And they will revert back to what they were doing before. And that's why I really, really don't recommend for people to go cold turkey. I prefer people to go step by step. And if they do that, it's become very difficult for them to have those detox symptoms, because the body will get used to the change very slowly, and it's going to be a lot better. Yeah, I don't advise people to do that.
Okay. And, I've seen people kind of like go step by step, especially when it comes to animal product or animal protein, I should say. They would give up red meat, then chicken, and then, eventually seafood, and then eventually just, stick to a plant-based diet. And yes, you trusted the yogi, and you went on this journey. How difficult was it to find the right foods to eat? Right? How difficult was it to supplement everything that you knew for a while? Say tofu, for instance, supplementing, meat with tofu or other plant-based meat substitute. How difficult was that process with shopping and things of that nature?
Yeah, at the beginning, it was difficult, because when I decided that I was going to stop eating animal product, didn't even think about what I was going to eat. I just say, okay, I'm going to do that. And then I find myself, I didn't even know what to eat. So what I did, I started to watch a lot of YouTube videos and see, for example, what people were eating. And I was able as well to buy a vegan recipe book, where I was starting to look at all the recipes and stuff like that. So yes, at the beginning, it was very challenging to find the
Mm-hmm.
right stuff. For example, I didn't even know, because I made the change when I was 46. By that time, I didn't even know that tofu existed, or tempeh, or things like that. I had no idea. So it just went by reading, by watching videos on YouTube, by doing some research that I was able to find out what I was supposed to eat and all this meat replacement and stuff. Yeah.
Beautiful. You mentioned vegan, and in my experience, I hear people confuse vegan and vegetarianism often. So, in your language or in your own way, what is the difference between being vegan and being vegetarian?
Usually for vegetarian, they will stop eating animal protein like fish, chicken, and meat. But they will still continue to eat all the dairy product like cheese, yogurt, ice cream, and stuff like that made with cow's
Right.
milk. But for
Right.
vegans, they will stop all the animal product and all the dairy product, and even honey. So everything that is being made with some kind of animal product, they will stop eating that. And for some vegans as well, you can add as well the ethical aspect where they don't wear leather clothes
Right.
and stuff like that. But for me as well, I would say I'm mostly plant-based, but even though I try not to eat, I don't eat any animal, I don't kill them and stuff like that. But I would say plant-based is more for people who would like to achieve a better health. And for vegans, it's mostly to save the animals. Because what I've noticed is that a lot of vegans are still sick because they eat lots of processed food, which is not good compared to people who eat plant-based food, which they eat whole food and stuff like that.
Yeah, veganism, the way that I see it and the way I've come to understand it, is not just a lifestyle change, is a decision that is also rooted in activism, right? Not wearing fur, leather, not using anything like, even with honey doesn't kill the bee, right? Honey does not kill the bee, is a product of that a bee, produces, but vegans don't eat honey and also anything with beeswax. They stay away from any animal product, anything that seems to be encroaching on an animal and animal welfare. So being a vegan is a lifestyle change, but also has a roots of activism as well. For vegetarian, right? I want to go back to your family dynamic really quickly. You said you watched the yogi's video on a Wednesday. You came back, your wife cooked you your last, animal product meal on a Thursday. By that Friday, you went cold turkey. At that point, did you have children within your family with your wife, or was it just both of you? Did both of you go on this journey together, or was it just a solo journey that you went on?
Yeah, so when I made the decision, I didn't want to force anybody to do it. So I said to my wife, okay, I'm going to stop eating animal product. I'm not forcing you guys to do it. If you want to follow, that's fine. If you don't want, that's not a problem. So I did that myself for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, I did
Okay.
that myself, and my wife starting to see the change that I was going through, and she was really impressed. And she said that she was going to do that as well. And for her, she was even able to lose 99 pounds.
Nice. Good for her.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So
And
are
then,
you a full vegetarian family now?
yes, so after a month, we sat our kids and we told them that, okay, we are going to we stop eating animal product for the whole family. And basically, they were not happy. They were very unhappy. But today, they thank me for that. Because, for example, I've got my son. He had eczema for 11 years. We saw doctors. They prescribed all sorts of creams, but there were no changes. But when we adopted this plant-based nutrition, it only took 2 weeks for his entire eczema to disappear completely. So he was
Wow.
11 years on medication, no changes, 2 weeks on plant-based, and all the eczema disappear completely. And I've also got my daughter. She used to have the flu all the time, or I would say two to three times a year. And sometimes she will even lose her voice. But
Oh,
since
wow.
embracing that plant-based nutrition, just like me, she's not been sick anymore. She's not had the flu anymore. So there was loads and loads of benefits by adopting this plant-based nutrition.
That's beautiful. You know, microbiomes are now a thing that everybody's talking about, right? And either we don't understand or we don't put the importance on how much of the illnesses that we have, especially topical manifestation of illnesses, comes from our GI tract, right? So the traditional treatment of things is put an ointment on the symptom that you see instead of treating the root problem. So that is such a great piece to share with everybody, that just in changing diet alone eradicated eczema that he lived with for 11 years. That is wonderful. That is a great thing to hear. Good for him. Really, seriously, good for him. And, when it comes to like eating out, is that difficult? Is that something that is challenging? Say, maybe you went out to a restaurant with a group of friends. Is it challenging to find inclusive options? I know in recent years that has changed markedly because a lot of people have adopted plant-based diet and there are usually like more options on the menu now. When you first started on this journey and now, what has that been in food choices? Is it still difficult or has that improved?
Yeah, just like you said, when I started this plant-based nutrition, it was really difficult. It was really difficult. You will go to, for example, a party or something like that. There was nothing, or in a restaurant, it was really challenging. But now there are in most restaurants when you go they've got some vegan options and stuff like that. Even for example in the airplane when you book your ticket, you can just say, okay, I'm vegan. They will still find something for you. So now, because it's widespread, it's now it's easier to find the vegan options. But in the past, it was really challenging.
Wow, beautiful. I think more and more people are becoming health conscious, and more like these conversations are happening, and we're hearing real stories from real people who have experienced it. It's no longer abstract, right? And we're seeing it in real life, in real time. And for people who have suffered or gone through or watch their loved ones suffer. Because I think that is what really wrecks us as a parent, to watch your child go through something and you feel like there's nothing you can do. And then you find out that just a tweak in their diet, a change in their diet can make all the difference, right? So these conversations are very important. So as an African too, because I'm African, we do eat meat. Granted, the meat that we eat is more on the leaner side. Okay. So how are you substituting, now that you're plant-based, those African meals that call for animal protein?
Yes. So what I'm doing now is instead of eating all these animal products, even when I'm eating African food, basically what I will do, I will just avoid that, avoid all the animal product, and just eat all the stuff, because we've got loads of vegetables, and we can prepare that in a different ways and stuff like that. But I just stay away from all the animal product. So basically, that's exactly what I do.
So when was the last time you visited your home country?
The last time I visited was in February this year. Unfortunately, I went for because my dad passed away. So I
I'm
went
sorry to
to
hear that.
yeah. So I went in February this year to bury him.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Our stories are similar in that way. I went home last year, unfortunately, for the same thing. So I was just curious because I'm sure you ate when you were back home. Did you ask for your meals to be prepared, in like a vegetarian way? or did you find your ways around? Because refusing to eat is not polite.
Yeah.
It's very impolite where we're from. So how did you find your ways around, those aunties and grandmothers that wanted to spoil you with their cooking? How did you find your way around that, given that, you embarked on this lifestyle change?
Yes, I went in 2024, but before that, I went in 2018. So when I went in 2018, I basically told them that I was not eating meat and stuff like that. So every time when, for example, an auntie or will invite me, she will ask me, for example, in advance, what do you want me to cook for you? For example, I will say, okay, you can cook for me some sweet potatoes with some beans or some spinach or mushrooms, just stuff like that. So they will ask me in advance what I want to eat. And this time around when I went, so basically they knew that what they will cook for me. They didn't even ask me what. They knew that I can eat whatever, anything doesn't have eyes. So now they know.
I like that. Anything without eyes. If it doesn't have eyes, I'll eat it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you are from a culture that, has animal protein, have that discussion, as opposed to being rude and refusing food. Just have that discussion, explain it. Our loved ones can accommodate, and they will accommodate you because they want you to eat. If there's anything our mothers and aunties know to do is to feed us, and then turn around and complain you're gaining too much weight.
Yeah.
So please have that conversation. Something that you said that did ring a bell, is that vegans of the very restrictive diet end up having some chronic conditions as well, because the substitutes are over processed food, right? And I had a friend who adopted the vegan lifestyle, and something that she said that stuck with me is that you go from being a carnivore to a carbivore. Go from carnivore to carbivore, because a lot of the vegan and some vegetarian meals are very heavy in carbs. So if somebody is trying to lose weight and also adopting a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle, I want to focus on vegetarian, right? If somebody's aim or goal is to lose weight by adopting a vegetarian lifestyle, how can they balance not being heavy on carbohydrate intake?
Yeah. So basically, for my experience, the carbohydrates are not really the problem. It's the processed carbohydrates which are the problems. For example, for me, I mean, not now, but in the beginning of my journey, I was eating a lot of sweet potatoes, a lot of rice, brown rice, because white rice is processed, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
brown rice, a lot of stuff like that. And I was able to keep my weight off. It's never been a problem. So what people need to understand is that when you eat a lot of processed food, the man-made food, then it's become a problem. But if you eat the carbohydrate, which are you find in the nature, it's become very difficult to become overweight, and you will be able to lose weight very quickly, because all these food, when they are not refined, they've got not too many calories. They've got too many calories, and you will be able to lose weight. It's like, for example, if you look at the gorilla with whom we share 99% of the same DNA. But when you look at gorillas, they eat a lot of fruit, vegetables, and tender roots. But when you look in the animal kingdom, even those gorillas, you won't find even one who is overweight. You don't see overweight animals because they eat they eat whole food. So for us human beings, it shouldn't be different. If you eat whole food, it becomes very difficult or impossible, in my experience, to become overweight. And that's what I've been doing for the past 8 years. I've been able to keep my weight off. And I'm eating lots of, I used to eat a lot of brown rice, a lot of potatoes, a lot of sweet potatoes, yam, plantain bananas, and all these things. It's just because now for the last 2 years, I'm now 90% raw. So I only eat 2% of cooked food. But in the beginning, when I was eating a lot of cooked food, it has never been a problem. I've never put on weight. So yes, people need to look at when it's refined carbohydrate, then it's become a problem.
Thank you for defining that. Thank you so much for breaking that down, because those refined carbohydrates are heavy with the breads, the pastas, like you mentioned, the white rice and things of that nature. I think the one thing that, concerns people, and myself included, this is just self disclosure, is that the concern for me is often like the boredom, right? Getting bored because you don't have options and fearing having to revert. Right? So I think having a resource will be great. Like, this is what you do, right? This is what you do for your business. This is what you do to support people. I feel that it's very important, especially if somebody's committed to make a change, that they have somebody that they can refer to who can, lead them along the way. So if all I have ever really eaten is jasmine rice, and I absolutely love jasmine rice, and I'm wondering what other greens are there. I would have somebody tell me, hey, you can try barley. You can try fracan. I think that grain is called fracan. You can try, the different grains, right? I don't know all of them. I've heard of them. I don't know all of them. But it's the boredom of things. So how can a new beginner on this journey who is worried about being bored with just eating sweet potatoes and, spinach cope? What would you tell them to do to explore their choices?
Yeah. So first of all, what I would say, it's the mindset. When you start with the mindset that, oh, I'm going to get bored, I'm going to eat the same food, you go already on the wrong path. That's not good. You need to have your options open, because as soon as you say that, it's going to be difficult. Or for some people will tell you, oh, I can't stop eating meat. Already they've put a barrier and they won't be able to do it. So you need, first of all, to change your mindset. And when people say that they get bored, but when you look at people who eat meat, they eat the same thing as well. You will eat meat, fish, chicken. You keep eating the same thing. You don't change. Why is it a problem when you have to stop eating meat and you become bored? There's still lots of things to eat. You can eat, for example, you can have mushrooms, you can have broccoli, you can have green beans, you can have a red bell pepper, you can have spinach, you can have chickpeas, aubergine, yam, sweet potatoes, plantain bananas. You can have lentil soup, kale soup. There's lots and lots of things that you can do. But it's just people, no, I'm going to become plant-based, I'm going to get bored. No, you're not going to get bored if you have an open mind and you buy, for example, a recipe book. For example, the book that I've got is called 360 Vegan Recipe, something like that. So for 365 days, you've got a different type of food that you can eat. So you're not going to get bored. But my point is, when you eat meat, fish, chicken, you eat the same thing as well. It's the same thing that you eat. So people need to look at that in that way as well.
I think it's just the imagination of preparing it different ways, because with those proteins, you can prepare it different ways. Like with beef, for instance, you can either stew it, grill it, saute it, whatever. Okay. But there are a lot of mushrooms. You mentioned mushrooms that are very good absorber of whatever. They can do whatever you want them to do. Lion mane is something that I absolutely love. I love oyster mushrooms. I absolutely love oysters. Oysters can be whatever you want oysters to be. You can season them, deep fry them, whatever you want to do with them. Oyster mushrooms are delicious. So I think it's just imagination, having that imaginative ability to do whatever you want to do with the meal. So it can be, lifestyle change is not easy, first and foremost. Is not easy. Like you said, you have to be determined to do it. It's a mindset thing. You have to know why you're doing it and commit to doing it, and determine that the only thing coming out of this is success. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So yeah, thank you for saying that. And I'm curious too, because you mentioned that you're 90% raw. How did you transition from plant-based to plant-based that was cooked to making the decision to go 90% raw? And what are the benefits of that?
Yeah, so I went 98% raw.
98, goodness
Yes.
gracious, 98.
Yes.
Whoa. So
Yeah.
the only cooked thing you drink is tea.
Yeah, sometimes I will have a little bit of mushroom, a little bit of steamed vegetables, a little bit of potatoes. But for example, today at noon, I had bananas and grapes. And at 6 p.m., I had clementine and kiwi. That's all I've had for today. No cooked food.
And you have satiety from that. You're satisfied on that.
Yes. Because what people need to understand is that, like I've just said, first of all, it's a mindset. And then when you eat things like that, your body, first of all, will spend less energy digesting the food. For example, when you eat a heavy meal of meat and stuff like that, you will see after a few minutes, you start dozing off because all the blood will go to the belly area to try to start the process of digesting and all that. But when you eat raw, the digestion is very, very easy and the body doesn't really spend a lot of energy digesting the food. And the body will be able to extract a lot of nutrients and you'll be able to stay like that for a longer period of time without eating. For example, like I've had those clementine and the kiwi at 6 p.m. My next meal will be tomorrow at 12. So I will basically do 18 hours without eating anything.
So you're basically putting your body in ketosis then?
Yes. So every day I do intermittent fasting. I only eat twice a day with no snacking in between.
So how do you do on fluids? Do you drink fluids through the day or do you also, kind of like schedule that?
No. I drink only when I'm thirsty. I don't have a set of amount of water or things like that I need to drink. Just when I feel thirsty, I drink water. And what I was saying as well is that when you eat raw, your body will be able, first of all, like I've just said, the digestion will be very easy. Your body will be able to retain a lot of nutrient, a lot of protein, a lot of vitamin and stuff like that. Because when you cook the food, you lose a lot of nutrient and vitamin and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I starting to eat mostly raw.
So with your protein, how do you get your protein then? Because, the certain foods that are high in protein, how do you make sure that you're getting enough for your body? So if you're eating raw, you're not eating beans raw. I'm sure of that. Well, how are you getting your protein, adequate protein, I should say?
When people ask me that question, what I like to tell them is that I've just said that we share 99% of the same DNA with gorillas, which means that our digestive tract are practically the same. But what do gorillas eat? They eat fruit, vegetables, and tender roots. They do not eat meat. Where do they find their protein from? They find it from the fruit, the vegetables, and the tender root that they eat. And that's exactly where I found my protein because I eat lots of fruit. I eat lots of lettuce and cucumber, tomatoes. That's where I found my protein. And when you look at the gorilla, it's very strong, it's muscular, but it doesn't eat
muscular.
meat.
Very muscular and dense in muscle, not fat. Dense, like very structured. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm loving this conversation. So do you take any supplements? Because there's a lot of medicinal supplements, right? People are now moving away from drinking coffee to having ashwagandha tea, right? Or ashwagandha supplements or drops, tinctures. So do you take any supplement or anything to kind of like augment or maintain your health other than just your meals, your 2 times a day meals, ketosis, intermittent fasting, and fluid when you're thirsty?
No, I don't take any supplement because personally, I don't believe in supplements, especially the synthetic supplement. I don't believe in that. I
Not the
just
synthetic one. I don't want to talk about the synthetic stuff, right? Not the synthetic stuff supplement. The natural stuff. That's what I'm talking about. Like, things like elderberry. Elderberries are great for immunity, right? Also, ashwagandha, like I mentioned, is great for memory, brain health, even helps with ADHD. Also is a great supplement for coffee. It keeps you alert. So not the synthetic stuff at all, the natural
okay.
stuff.
Okay. So for the natural stuff, I'm not against that. I think that there's a benefit in having that, but personally, I've not used the supplement, but I don't think that it's a problem. So if, for example, someone give me some tea made with ashwagandha, yes, I'll have that with no problem. But it's just in my day to day, I've not been able to incorporate all
Understood.
these things. But I think it's good to have that.
Okay, understood. Absolutely. I'm still very impressed with this 98% raw. I'm very, very impressed. Well done. Well done.
Thank
Oh
you.
my goodness. It takes a strong mind and it takes determination to do it. And question for you. Do you think you would have, stuck with, say, going 98% raw if that is what you jumped in with? Or would you still take the path that you did? You cold turkey went plant based and then, now transition to 98% raw?
Yeah, what I think is if I had to go straight to 98 raw, I don't think that maybe I will be able to do it. I wanted to go because it's like I've learned my lesson not to go cold turkey. That's why I wanted to evolve slowly. I started first to get my body to get used to the cooked food. And even when I was eating the cooked food, I would say it was 50-50, 50 raw, 50 cooked
Okay,
food. And my body gets
great.
used to it. And then as I continue to evolve in my journey, then I starting to go slowly. But I didn't want to go 100% raw because I wanted to have my option open. I wanted to go, for example, if I go to visit my aunties and stuff like that, and they offered me cooked food, I didn't want to say, no, I don't want that. So that's why I left that option open. But yes, I think if I had to go straight to raw food, maybe I wouldn't be able to do it.
I love the honesty. I absolutely love it. So, right now, with the work that you do, right? If somebody were to be interested in working with you, right? What would that structure look like? How does it start? What is the support like? What are you looking to see? What are you looking for your client to see? Yeah. So, if you don't mind walking me through it, I would really appreciate it.
So the first thing that I do with my client is to work on the mindset because the mindset is the most important thing. And you will see that a lot of people, when they go on the New Year's resolution, they will say, oh, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do this. Some people will say they will stop smoking and stuff like that. They will do that for 2 weeks, maximum 4 weeks, and then they will revert back to their old habits because their mindset was not right. And that the first thing
Right.
that I work with my client is to make them adopt the right mindset. And basically, to have the right mindset, they don't have to depend on the willpower because the willpower is
Right.
not enough. What you need, it's a why power. You need to find exactly why you want to change. For example, for some people, they will say, okay, I would like to see my kids growing up. I would like to see them getting married. I would like to be around. And because of that, they decide that they want to adopt a good lifestyle. And for example, for me, I remember the way when I was sick, I didn't really like the feeling. For example, you have the flu for 2 weeks, you will be at home in bed. And I didn't want that feeling anymore. And that's what gave me the courage or the will to be able to stick to that lifestyle change. So that's the first thing that I do. And the second thing is to make them adopt a plant-based nutrition. And like I said, I don't ask them to go cold turkey.
Okay.
My program lasts 16 weeks. So slowly we introduce the changes. For example, if, for example, they were eating meat every day, for the first 2 weeks, they will go to 5. So for 5 days, they will continue to eat meat. For 2 days, they will stop. And for example, for the dairy product, we're going to reduce that. So introduce those changes very slowly so that they get accustomed to the changes and the body doesn't give them some detox symptoms. And then the third pillar is to introduce them to the intermittent fasting, but I don't ask them to do just like me straight away to go to 2 meals a day. No, they will still eat 3 meals a day. But what they will start to introduce is they will try to stop to snack in between meals. So we'll go to that, and maybe towards the seventh weeks, then they will go on 2 meals a day. So I introduce all these things very slowly so that their body don't react in a negative way. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And for example, when you start eating lots of fruit, vegetables, and all that, they've got lots of fiber. And for some people, because they're not used to it, this fiber will start giving them lots of belly ache and stuff like that. And that's why I will introduce that very slowly so that they get accustomed to that. And by the end of the program, what I really want is not only a weight loss, because for a lot of people, like I said, they just want to lose weight. But the most important thing is to be in good health. It's not really to lose weight, because there's a lot of people who are slim, but are unhealthy. So what I want really for people is to be in good health. And when they're in good health, then they will lose the weight. And that's exactly what I want. And I also want them to live a disease-free life. Because like I was telling you, when we grow older, it's in the society, we know that we need to be sick. But that's not true, because when I started this journey, I was 46. Today I'm 54, and my health is getting better and better. And I don't think that there's something that I was able to do when I was 20 that I cannot do now.
Good for you. That's good for you. That's impressive that you feel like you have the vitality of a 20-year-old at 54. That is good for you. Good for you. That is very impressive. And do you, in your program, introduce a physical activity at all, or recommend physical activity?
Yes, physical activity is very important, because with physical activity, you'll be able to make your lymphatic system move, because the lymphatic system hasn't got a pump like the heart. So you really need to be moving. But when I'm talking about physical activity, I don't necessarily ask people to join a gym. What they need to do is to be active. For example, I will ask them to do in the morning when they wake up, I will ask them to do a 5-minute stretching exercise. And for example, for 3 times a week, they will have to go for a walk. For example, a 30-minute walk or something like that. That's the only exercise that I'm asking my client to do. So yes, they need to be moving. They don't have to just sit. That's not good for the body. They need to be moving.
That's good, because it's usually like a combination of those two work great. I've seen results of, dietary and lifestyle change in addition to exercise or activity recommendation, or in combination with, physical activity has shown to, work well. So some people feel like, what talking about, New Year's resolution, right? Another year's coming around the corner. Everybody's going to want to lose weight because you know what? Their favorite supermodel is a size 0, right? And they go and pound it out in the gym and still eat the same way. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. In order for that hard work in the gym to reflect, the hard work that you're really putting into it, there has to be diet modification. And I yo-yo a lot, and I wouldn't say a lot. I yo-yo because of hormones. So when I'm at my most stressed, and my thing is cortisol, when I'm my most stressed because of work and life and everything else, I don't eat. It's just that not sleeping well, and I can feel it, right? I can feel it, and I once I step back and kind of like, balance myself, increase activity, reduce caloric intake, and also rest, I can feel the changes. And sometimes people don't understand that things in our body work hand in hand. So if you have somebody who comes to you and tells you, you know what, I do my best to eat right, and I also exercise, but I don't know what's going on. I have this chronic disease, I have diabetes, I have high cholesterol. I don't know what is going on. Would you have them understand their medical need first, or their medical record first, in order to customize something for them, or you would work with them directly to kind of like figure out what's going on?
Yeah, so what I will work directly with them.
Okay.
There will be a lot of talking. And what people need to also understand is that when they are following a certain lifestyle, they're eating right, they're exercising, but if they are stressed, it's not going to work. It's going to be very difficult because with all the stress hormone, the cortisol and stuff like that, it's going to be very difficult to lose weight and to sleep well and stuff like that. So what I will attack on that side is to make them to see why they are stressed, what is causing that, and maybe ask them to start meditation and some stuff of that sort, so that to calm them down and to see what trigger the stress and stuff like that. And we're going to work in that way to find like I've just said, what's to make them stress, and after that we continue with the lifestyle and all that. But what I've noticed is that when you really are starting to eat the right food, you will be able to control your stress more easily. And for example, I've seen a study where in prison they are starting to put, for example, for a week they will put all these prisoners on plant-based nutrition, and they will see that the violence and all these things will really go down. And for example, when you look at animal herbivores, you will see that they are very peaceful in comparison to all the animals who eat meat, where they are very ferocious and stuff. So when you adopt the plant-based nutrition, you start to become more quiet, more calm, and your stress level will go down and all that.
Right. So what if it's occupational? What if somebody works a high stress job? So I'm going to use people in my industry, for instance, right? We work about 12 hours, some longer, in healthcare. We're the most unhealthy people. So we worry about everybody else. So 12-hour shifts, sometimes back to back, sometimes, it keeps going, right? And you finish that, you still have, your home life, and some of us are caretakers of, elderly family members, or even our own children, or a community. What if it's career related? You mentioned meditation, but some people don't do it. I have started implementing that in my practice, and it makes a difference. You're right. It makes a great difference. What if it is kind of occupational in nature, and this person has tried all that they could do? Olivier, what do we do? What do we do next?
What I would say is, for example, when you look at these people, I would imagine that they are not really on a plant-based nutrition. They're still eating like everybody else. So they need to adopt that, because when people say that they're eating healthy, they just think that, I need a lot of meat, I need to have a little bit of vegetables, maybe one fruit, and they say that, okay, I'm eating healthy. But in my experience, that's not really eating healthy, because you will still have start suffering from chronic diseases and stuff like that. But even if you don't adopt 100%, you don't become 100% vegan or plant-based, but at least if you reduce considerably your intake of meat, dairy product and stuff like that, you will start seeing a big change. This is the first thing that people need to do. And then when you start, just by doing that, you will see that your stress level will start to go down. You will not easily be, your button will not be pushed very easily. You will become very calm, very patient and stuff like that. And all these things will play in your overall environment. And for example, you'll be able to sleep very easily. Even if you have a 12-hour shift, when you go back home, you'll be able to sleep very quickly because your digestion, for example, will be very easy. Your body will not have to work to work overtime when you're sleeping and stuff like that. So when you adopt a plant-based nutrition, it will make a very big difference in your overall health and all that.
Great to know. Great to know. Thank you for that information. So I have to ask, do you have a cutoff age of clientele? So what is the youngest you've worked with and what is the oldest that you've worked with?
The youngest, I mean, it's 30. So, for example, when I ask, because my primary demographic is women over 30. So, I don't work with, normally I don't work with women less than 30. So they need to be
Okay.
women over 30.
Okay.
I can work with men as well if they are interested, but my primary demographic is women over 30. And up to this day, I think the oldest that I've worked with were in 60s.
Oh, okay. So why women? Why do you think women are more apt? You know what? I know the answer to that, but I'm going to ask anyway. why,
Yeah.
why do you think women are primarily your clientele? I can guess, but you know, why are men not so eager to make this lifestyle change?
I think it's because women, they are more conscious about their appearance. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why they, especially in the society, the beautiful means being slim and stuff like that. And a lot of women have got problem to accept themselves the way they are, and that's why they are more prone to change that. But for men, they want to look strong and maybe seeking help. It means that they are not as strong, or it means that they are weak, and that's why they don't really want to look for help when they really need that. But for women, it's easier because they mostly look at changing the physical appearance and stuff like that, and they are more prone to be coached.
So, have you ever had a woman who came to you for the sole reason to be healthy? Because society is changing. More and more women are accepting themselves for the appearances, and a lot of those standard of beauty that were used in the past are no longer really valid. Am I saying is abolished? It's not abolished completely, but the more and more women who accept themselves for how they look, their build, their DNA, whatever. So, do you have some women who come to you to seek this guidance into plant-based diet for chronic disease reasons or all for health reasons, as opposed to just weight loss and the aesthetics of things?
Yeah, for my experience with my client, I mean, most of them have got chronic diseases. Most of them,
Mm,
regardless of their weight. The majority are overweight, yes, but some of them were not overweight, but they will still have, for example, high blood pressure, or they were pre-diabetic, or stuff like that, or maybe they've had problem with the joints. It's getting inflamed and stuff like that. So yes, not all of them were overweight, but most. But the one who are coming are always have chronic diseases. All
mm,
of them, they've got
okay.
chronic diseases. Yeah.
Right. Because I mean, with the age group that you mentioned, 30 and to 60, that is when the check engine light starts coming on, and different things start happening in the body, right? Because you've been in this shell since you were born up until this age, so things start breaking down, things start going haywire. So it makes sense that most have chronic disease.
Yeah.
So just to wrap up our conversation, because the one interesting thing that I see with a lot of people who either come to an impasse in their life and start a career, start a business, that most times is unrelated to their field of expertise or what they went to school for. Do you mind me asking, before this, what was your expertise? What did you do before this reality of changing your life confronted you?
Yeah. So First of all, when I was back home in Africa, I trained as a civil aviation engineer, and I was working as a air traffic controller because I really, really wanted to become a pilot. Since I was 8, I wanted to become a pilot. And that's what made me leave my country, because over there, it's not possible to become a commercial pilot. So when I came to the UK, my diploma, because I was working back home as an air traffic controller. So my plan was to come in the UK, work as a air traffic controller, save some money, and then do my pilot training. But when I arrived here, they told me that it was not possible for me to do that because they didn't recognize the diploma that I've had in Africa. And then they say that we're not going to be able to train you because you're already 30, and the age limits, it's 29. So I was not able to do that anymore. So what I did, I trained as a computer technician, and I started to look for a job as a computer technician. I couldn't find it. And I was trained as a lab technician, optometry lab technician. So I was dealing with glasses and stuff like that. And basically, after the company that I worked with, I worked for a year and a half, and then I was promoted as a manager. So I worked as a optical lab manager for 17 years until 2020. With the COVID, I was made redundant, and I just said, okay, I'm just going to go full in and develop my business.
Beautiful. Wow, good for you. So we went for air traffic controller, engineering education, to optical technician, to manager. And you're like, you know what? I changed my life. I want to help other people change their lives. To here you are. I love that story. I love that story. And that there's a resilience in your story, because it is very common where, some of us miss the mark by just that much, right? Just 29 and you were 30. That is something that would send a lot of people into a spiral. But you know what? You persevered, you changed the course, you refocused, and did what you had to do. So kudos to you on that. So anybody that is listening to this, if you felt disappointment, you feel like you can't go for what you really wanted, it's a redirection. You never know where it's going to take you. So, yes, get in your feelings, but don't stay there, right? Get in your feelings, be upset, be mad, but don't live in that city. Get out, right? Look for another way to reinvent yourself, reinvent your life, because you just never know. I learned not to take no's and rejections as redirections, right? It may not feel good right now, but there's a reason why this path is not working out right now. I need to, refocus and, see what the next journey is going to be like. So kudos to you, Olivier, for
Thank you.
reinventing your life and, going after your passion. It was such a great conversation with you. So, to our listeners, thank you for listening to us. What I am going to do is, in the footnote of this podcast, I will definitely include Mr. Olivier's businesses, his information, and how to reach him. So if you're interested in working with him, you can reach out to him. So Olivier, you're located in the UK. What about the listeners who may be interested in talking to you or working with you that are all over the world, including the US?
Yeah, so basically what they can do is that I'm working online, so they don't necessarily have to see me in person. I'm working online, so we'll be able to work together. That's not going to be a problem, because the way I do that, first of all, we set up a discovery call. On the discovery call, we think about what's the problem they've got, what set them to be on that path, and we discuss all these things. And if there's a good fit, we start working together. And basically, what we're going to do is to every 2 weeks, we'll be online seeing the progress and stuff like that. And what I do as well is that I give them my personal WhatsApp number. So at any time, they can still contact me, because I really, really want people to succeed and to make the success a no-brainer. They will have my private WhatsApp number at any time. If they've got a question or something like that, they can reach out to me so that they can really succeed.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. So everybody heard that. So it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter where you're located. Mr. Olivier can work with you. So I'll make sure I include his information. Please, 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 as always, interact with this segment. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what you think. We want to hear how you feel about this process. Would you switch to a plant-based diet? Right? Do you have the mental fortitude and do you have the gumption to do it? Are you committed? Ms. Olivia did tell us is mindset. So do you have the mindset to make this level of change and see what's on the other side of things? It will benefit you, like he said. So I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for meeting with us. And everybody, thank you for listening. We will see you again. All right? Thank you and take care of yourself.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Unshelling Medicine Podcast. If you want to stay up to date with the latest episodes, make sure to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to leave us a review. Follow us on social media at Altruistic Scribe on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. We share additional tips, updates, and health-related content that you won't want to miss. Have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes? Reach out to us at altruisticscribeco.com. We're always eager to hear from our listeners and tackle the health topics that matter most to you. Until next time, stay healthy and take care.